Hey there, how y'all doing today? So, I wanted to make this video to cover Stylelint because maybe I'm a bit, thick-headed, a little stupid because I had a lot of trouble setting up Stylelint for my SCS in a way that I found practical. So, Stylelint is a linter, and a linter allows us to analyze our code, to flag errors, bugs, or other stylistic errors. Alright, and we're going to be using VS Code, Node Packet Manager, and then I also have Ubuntu on a Windows subsystem for Linux, and that's the second version. So, first thing we're going to do is we're going to open up VS Code. And then in VS Code, we're going to go to our extensions, and then we're going to look for Stylelint. Put up Stylelint, go ahead and install that. And then we'd want to open up the Stylelint Startup Guide. So go ahead and open that up. Now, before we start talking about this here, we just need to go to our user settings real quick. So preferences, settings, and then there's a couple things that we want to look for here. Let's see, there it is. So we have css.validate, scs-less.validate, and we want to make sure that all of these are set to false and that stylelint.enable is set to true, which that is the default. So then with those settings in place, what that's going to allow it to do is for Stylelint to be the only thing that's throwing the errors in relation to CSS, SCS, and less. Alright, so we can exit out of that. Then we can open up our terminal and we'll start doing this here. So npm install, and then we don't have to worry about the save dev option. And we also don't have to worry about the Stylelint config standard, so go ahead and run that. So the Stylelint config standard, what that does is it just gives you a set of predefined rules in that module. Now we're going to define all of our own rules in our own configuration file, so that way we have just all the rules in one place rather than having to worry about this file or that file. Alright, so we have that installed. So here we are. So then I'm going to make style.css, and now we can talk about creating the actual configuration file. So what that's going to be is a .stylelintrc. And now this is enough to create your configuration file, and you could either put JSON or YAML in here, but you can also add an extension of JSON to it to be able to get some help from your code editor. Alright, so then we're going to make curly braces, and then we're going to have rules, and then another set of curly braces. And now inside these curly braces is where all of our rules are going to be defined. Okay, so if we click on this, let's see. Alright, my bad. Alright, let's take a step back here real quick, expand this out. So under rules, we're going to have a list of rules, okay? And this defines all the rules that you could use right now in your Stylelint folder, okay? And now to demonstrate for you, we're going to put no EOL white space, set that to true. EOL stands for end of line, and then we're going to have no extra semicolons. Alright. Now already with this set up like this, we could go into style.css and we could make a class of red and then define color red. Now if we add an extra white space there, an extra space at the end, we can actually go to our problems tab and it throws that error. And that's why that we install the extension Stylelint to begin with here, is so that we can display these things in line in VS Code. Now, if we were to just run, now if we add an extra semicolon there, that also throws that error. Now, if we were to run, and show you this here, npx Stylelint, like that. What this is going to do is it's in your directory, it's going to look for all the CSS files, and it's going to display the errors for you. Alright, so if we didn't have the Stylelint extension installed, all we would have is this telling us what the file is and then where the error is located. We wouldn't have any of this highlighting or showing up in the problems tab. Now, the cool thing is that some of these rules, no extra semicolon, let's see, yep. Alright, there it is. So when we go into these rules, it'll give us the options on what we can use for the rules and then what would be valid or invalid in regards to it. And some of these rules are even capable of being used with the fix option. So if we'd come back here and we would run the same command, npx Stylelint, and then give the option fix with it, it's going to fix any rule that it can when we run this. So pay attention up here. Awesome, look at that. Super cool and useful. I like it a lot. So now let's say we wanted to extend this a little bit, because this is primarily used for CSS right now. We actually have the option of installing some plugins and such to allow for the ordering of properties or things that are more relevant to SCS. So on the Getting Started tab, if we come down to plugins, this will give us a list of all of these different plugins that we can use here. And the two that I use on top of this are Stylelint Order and Stylelint SCSS. Okay? So on each of these individual pages we can scroll down and we can see how we can install them and then the rules and such that go along with them. Now, if we wanted to add these, we would just first need to install them. npm install Stylelint SCS and Stylelint Order. Now, we would come back into our Stylelint RC and then we would add plugins. Alright, and then square braces, and then inside here we would give the plugin name. So Stylelint SCS and Stylelint Order. So now these plugins are installed in our directory and now we can access them. But there's one more step. If we actually want to use these rules, we need to namespace them. So let's see. If we wanted to use order, we would need to first go order / so now we're using the Stylelint Order plugin and then define the rule after that. So properties order. All right, and that's all there really is to it. All right. So now, the big thing for me is, and I want to use Stylelint in every single one of my projects, but I don't want to have to include the same Stylelint RC file and the node modules. So this is how we can do that through VS Code. So we're going to delete everything in here except for the style CSS. So now Stylelint will not work whatsoever in here, or shouldn't work whatsoever in here. And now we need to go back to our user settings. And this is where things got really difficult for me for whatever reason. If you're using Windows, all you need to do is there is a property called stylelint.config file. All right, and the reason I say Windows is when you go to File Explorer and open this up, you can follow the path through and then you can just click up here and then you can copy that path, okay? So I'm gonna paste it right in here. The only thing you need to do is change these backslashes to forward slashes, and then we just need to give the name of the file that we want it to use. So what this is saying is I want you to, the configuration file is located here in this file path. And the next thing we want to do, since I don't want to install the same node packet modules, the node modules and such, we would just need to install them globally. And then you would have to use, and then in stylelint.config base dir, you would need to get the file path for that as well to where all of your global node modules are located. So we can figure that out by going npm list and then give it the option G, and this will show you where all of your node modules that are globally installed are located. And then to install them globally, all you'd have to do is npm install stylelint, stylelint scs, and then stylelint order, and then give it the global flag. And that would run, and I already have those installed here globally. So, and then this is linking, that's the file path for it. And you can also have another file path that would look like this. And this is what I was using before. So the file path would look something like this, since you're using Ubuntu and the subsystem for Linux and such. All right, and again, you would just have to change the backslashes to forward slashes. So if you're like me to where your node modules are installed in Ubuntu and you're using Windows, this is one of the two paths that you could use here in order to find it. Okay, so the last thing, so we can see here that it's actually throwing an error now because I've linked to where my Stylelint RC folder file is, and then I also linked to where all of my Stylelint related node modules are, and nothing's installed here. All right, so what it's complaining about is I have it set to where no named. It has to be a hex or something else, and then it also needs to be reduced. So I can come back in here and do that same command that we did earlier. Okay. All right, so the reason why this was throwing an error is because we don't have a configuration file in this current directory, and we're not linking either for the terminal to the path to our configuration file. And that's actually, if you're using bash and such, we can create aliases in order to fix that. So in here, we would actually need to run the command like this. So if I would type in stylint, it would run this command here. And what this is saying is we want to run that same command that we're doing, npx stylint. And this is for SCS, but I also have it for CSS down here. And then this config option is then saying, all right, I'm providing the configuration path for you, which is right here. And then this second one is doing the same exact thing. It is just linking, it's saying, I want you to fix any errors that we can. So that's what was going on there. All right, so I would definitely recommend you to make some aliases in order to do this here. All right, so if I would go CSS fix, it's going to run what we just went over, and then there it goes, it fixes it. So that's really everything that I so far have needed to use for Stylelint, and I've got it set up. I don't have to continually take up more memory space by having to download these node modules. Everything is linked within VS Code, and then with the aliases we can fix whatever issues arise. And I'll even show you my file here. So let's see. Okay, so in here, just to demonstrate, the one thing that you need to do is you're using SCS is make sure that the default Stylelint @rule no unknown is set to null, and then in SCSS set that to true. Okay, because there's @rules in SCS that aren't used in CSS, and it would throw errors when it doesn't need to. And you can see here how all of these are namespaced with the plugin. All right. All right. Well, that's all I got for you today. I hope that you got something useful out of it, and I'll see you another time. Bye-bye.